Paint along with me as we explore easy autumnal trees with a no-drawing, doodle-first approach. We'll start by selecting a simple fall palette of golden browns and a soft neutral before flowing into loose, wet-in-wet tree studies with relaxed doodles on top. Beginner-friendly, quick and relaxing, this session focuses on gentle colour play and seasonal glow rather than perfect shapes, so you can unwind and enjoy the process. Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to have some fun painting something, again, a little autumnal. And first of all, I'm going to be selecting my paints. I'm going to change my palette from this one to another one, which is going to be all browns and golden browns and things like that. So I have grabbed my Jackman's paints here, and I'm going to look through this selection with you, and I'm going to choose half a dozen or so of the most likely looking colours. So this one's burnt sienna. I think that's a nice brown. What else have we got here? This one is natural red oxide. I'm guessing that might be a good brownish colour. Pearl orange, that's going to be a bright orange, brighter than it looks on the label. Potter's pink, now that's not going to be very bright, is it? What else have we got here? Raw sienna, that's a brown. That might work. Yes, that could work. And I want a dark brown like, autumn foliage. That's about as good as it could possibly get. We can try that. But we also need a dark brown, which I'm not finding, actually. Not finding a dark brown in the selection that I selected. Mulberry, that's kind of purple. If we mixed that with, for example, autumn foliage, we might get a dark brown. But I think let's put that one there because that's a purpley kind of colour. I'll check those in a minute. And I'm just going to look in my other box here with all my doodars, because what I'm looking for is probably burnt umber. Right. Now let's see. Let's see what happens when we put these out. See whether they're going to work. Because I haven't told you what I'm going to do yet, have I? Let's start with let's hope it's not all gone dried up. See, burnt umber, that's quite dark. Try it. Good. That's good. Pearl orange. That should be nice and warm. That we can mix with lots of things. That could also have been quinacridone orange or burnt orange or cadmium orange. This is natural red oxide. Yeah, that's like Indian red or English red. This is burnt sienna. Let me just try those three. I thought you might like to see how I actually choose. That's very opaque. That's a good one if you want opacity. And that one's transparent. So that's red oxide and that's burnt umber. Then we've got raw sienna. Yeah, I just thought you might be quite interested to see how I choose my palettes when I am picking out a new one. Raw umber. Autumn foliage. Quite intrigued by that one. Is that one of the, yeah, that's one of the ones from the Michelle Weber set. She has a set with, that's a bright, that's nice. That's like that's like burnt sienna on steroids, isn't it? And mulberry. Because in order to darken any of these, you need something which will darken them. So you could use black, or you could use a dark blue, and I'm hoping that this is a dark blue. There we are. So that should work. Okay, so now let's see. I'm going to be using those paints then, and I'm going to use a selection, as usual, of liners of various sorts, gold, silver, white, black, you name it. Right, okay, calm down. Always get a little bit excited before I start. We've done a couple of things that have been a bit autumnal, haven't we? We've done something a bit like this, which you've probably seen by now, although you haven't yet when I am recording this. And we've done this. And we'll be doing more of this type because I really enjoyed doing that. I thought that was really fun. And today I'm going to do something. I admit I saw something on Pinterest that was a bit like this. And so I've done my version of it here, and we're going to have another go at doing something not quite the same as that, but similar. Okay, so let's get started. I shall use, for this, I think I'll use the Princeton number 8 Aqua Elite. I'm not going to do any preliminary anything. I'm going to take a little bit of time to prepare each colour because I want them to be all nice and bright. Nice and bright. And quite powerful. And what I'm going to do, the line, there's going to be a sort of line along here. But that doesn't matter, because what we're going to do we're going to paint blobs. And we're not going to take too long over it because, you see, adding the mulberry to that gives us a nice dark brown, doesn't it? Now this is another example of how to paint wet in wet, basically. So just add a bit more of this dark brown into here and let it run. Maybe I'll put a little bit in here too. And then I'm going to go to take the orange let's put into that some of this Indian red, maybe. I don't know how these are going to turn out until I've done them. Mulberry. Again, let's do mulberry up here. Really, really dark. And now, the fun thing is, I'm going to use just plain water and I'm just going to draw a line underneath. Just like that, it's just water. And then I'm going to go in to my tree and just pull the paint down and then tip it like this. You might want to add a little bit more water to make it run a little bit more. And you can just play with it, make it go where you want it to go like that. And it won't run outside of that line. Okay, so that's what we have, beautiful colours. And then we can put some others in between, some smaller trees. In between. I really quite enjoy painting things that don't take any skill. To me, that's so much more refreshing. Okay, we could put some dark into some of these because we want to embellish them after we've painted these. And what we're going to do now is we have to let it dry. You can see how it's granulating where some of the colours are dropping their pigment into the holes in the paper, not holes, but indentations in the paper. And that's rather good. But the fun thing is the embellishments that we can do on top. So I'll grab my hairdryer. Okay, so having done that, the next thing that we can do, first of all, is we will embellish these in some kind of way. Now, how are we going to do that? You could go around the outside edges, first of all, of the tree. So I think I might do that, and I'm just going to outline. I don't want to make it look any more like a tree than it already does. And we'll go around here too. I'm using a Tombow pen here, which has got a thick and a thin line. It's a brush pen, they call it, I think. So we'll just go around the outside edges. And the paper is quite rough and it sort of breaks up the lines. But that's quite nice. I quite like the effect of that, don't you? If you use hot press paper, you get a different effect. It's much smoother. And then I think probably we'll do some embellishments with gold on this purple one to start with. We could go along this line here if we wanted to. Okay, we'll just stop there for a sec with that. And this is a metallic gold pen from, it's a hybrid gel from Pentel, I think. I don't know. Okay, so let's put some gold leaves. Let's go all the way up here. You can do whatever you can think of. I always say this, I know, but whatever you can think of. Sometimes it's very hard to think of anything, but just whatever your pen wants to do when it gets going. And then you might want to put some white in there. It's this one that works. Might want to put some white. Just some lines. And the thing is, just trying to think of different things to do, you know? Trying to think of different things to do. So, I tell you what, I'm going to go here and I'm going to do some, what should we do? So we'll do some squirrels like this. Some little squirrels, that's quite nice, isn't it? And then maybe on this one we might do something like this. And then we could fill it in with gold. And what could we do on these other trees? I want to find some black that's quite strong. This reminds me a little bit of, what's it called? Can't remember. I will think of it in a minute. Zentangle. No, neurographic art. Neurographic art. That's it. That's what that reminds me of. And I'll take the brown now and I'll do some leaves inside the branches. You may have got the idea by now that what I'm trying to do at the moment for you is to come up with ideas of things that you can do when you're just sitting, perhaps in front of the television or not, trying to entertain yourself, and perhaps you've got tired of reading or listening to plays. That's what I do. I listen to a lot of radio plays, actually. I don't know if anyone else on the planet does that, but I like that. Old ones, not new ones. I can't understand what anyone's saying on the new plays, but because they don't speak the same language as me. As I've got older and the world has changed, people have started to say things differently and use different words, and I basically don't understand a word they're saying. I understand what they're saying here in France better than I do in England, which is completely mad, but there we are. Maybe we'll switch back to gold again for this one. And I quite like the way that turned out. You could also put some gold in there if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be all over, it could just be in some parts. Another good idea, actually, we might do it in black this time, is to put lines across that are not parallel, kind of like this. It's a bit like weaving gone crazy. There we are, something like that. And then you can take your brown again, and we could do something like this in each section. Yeah, so the idea is to find something that occupies your time. You might not have very much energy. You don't necessarily want to do something that you have to concentrate on, like a complicated knitting or complicated crochet, or even colouring in can sometimes be a bit dramatically demanding, because you have to sort of follow somebody else's lines and this, so on. But with this, you can just do whatever your hand wants to do. And it doesn't matter if your hand shakes, it doesn't matter if you go over the edges, because the idea is that it's meant to be free form. All right, here comes a cat. That's a cat coming into the studio. And then I do think it's quite nice to sort of go in, maybe I'll do it with silver actually, to go into the insides. I don't know if that will work, might do. Yeah. You might not want to do this because it's a bit more fiddly to stay inside the lines, but it does give it an extra sort of depth. What I liked about this idea when I came across it, I've altered it to my own. I've not copied what I found. I've done something different, quite different. But I like the idea of doing these very, very loose. I love the idea of bringing the trunks down into this simple line for the base. But you could do this in so many different ways, and I think that's what's great, to just kind of stimulate your imagination so that you can, and you could write a greeting underneath here if you did it a little bit smaller and make it into a greetings card. And this one we could fill in a little bit with white. Like that, maybe just a few of them, not too many. Or we could do dots. Some people really like to do dots. I do quite like to do dots. Once they're done, they don't really notice, but they have an effect. Some over here. There we are. And now how about this one here? What should we do on this one? Let's do some yeah, that's quite good, and we could put a little bit of gold in the middle of those flowers. Now, we probably ought to do this one next. How about we go in here, we do a circle, and then maybe we'll do a flower like that. And we'll go in here with the white. You will get a certain amount of fading of the white as it dries, which is a good thing for this kind of process. You don't want that if you're trying to do, the white of an eye or something like that, but it's okay if you're just doing something like this. Gold in the middle, little gold leaves. And now this one, I'm going to do a like this. Something like that. And then we'll put nice big leaves at the ends. need one in the middle here too. And one here. And one here. You can always put the leaves in first and then join them to the stem. Okay, so there's that. And we could fill that in with gold again. And we could have some spirals here and there. I'm always surprised, I don't know about you, I'm always surprised at how the effect of what this, I'm always surprised. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm always just surprised at the when you've finished it, you know, how it actually looks quite fun, doesn't it? So let's, on this one, let's do some lines across like this, like that. And then we'll put some half circles. How about that? And then just for the heck of it, on the other side, we'll do some white. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Okay, so now, just as a final finishing touch, I'm going to go all the way around. I'm going to start off with some squiggles here. Just have to concentrate a bit, probably more on this than anything else, to be honest. There we are, so we've got that. And there's still room here to write something. So you could write in there something like, I think I probably would be inclined to write it first of all with a pencil. And you could write fall, happily into autumn. There we are. So that's that then. So I think that's finished now. Take a look at that up here. And if you were brave, you would write that in pen. I might do that later. But that was fun. I enjoyed that. Take the idea, adapt it, make it into something for yourself, which is yours and yours alone, with your own favourite doodles on. But enjoy most of all the running of the paint down from the top of the tree into the line that you've drawn with no colour in it, and see how it's all coloured in now with the colours from above. So isn't that fun? So I'll let you go. Have fun, give it a try. These are the colours I used, and I'll put everything that I have used here in the description below for you to refer to if you want to look any of it up. The Jackman paints, these ones, are available, I believe, in America. I'm not quite sure. I'll find out, and I will put the information in the description below. So for now, I'll let you go, and I will see you again soon. So I'll say bye-bye for now, everybody. Have fun, take care of yourself, and don't forget to do lots of painting. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.